City Planning Commission for Thursday, November 19th, 2020. General procedures for this remote meeting are as follows. I will announce an application. For items where no one from the public is attending via Zoom, staff will give an overview, including any comments received from the public. If a member of the public will attend the meeting, staff will announce their attendance and admit them one at a time. Once the parties have joined the meeting, if needed, I will state the commission's rules regarding the number of speakers as well as speaking time. Each application is limited to a maximum of 4 speakers in support and 4 people in opposition, limited to 5 minutes each. I will then announce the beginning of the public hearing. The applicant will present their case and up to 3 additional speakers if applicable. For each speaker at the end of their presentation, I will ask if there are any questions from any commission members. Once the commission concludes their questions of the speakers in support of an application, I will then call for interested parties to speak. At the end of each speaker's presentation, I will again ask if there are any questions from the commission. The applicant will be given an opportunity to rebut in accordance with commission rules for 2 minutes. After the rebuttal, I will declare the public hearing closed and the commission will go into the deliberation session. After the commission has rendered a decision, the applicant and concerned parties will leave the meeting or will be sent back to the waiting room by staff where they can disconnect. I will then call the next agenda item. Commission members and staff, please remember to keep your microphone on mute unless you are speaking to the meeting attendees. I will now call the roll. I'm Libba Latham, Jennifer Denson, Kurt Blackwell.
Here.
Shirley Sessions, Alan Cameron, Taylor Atchison.
Here.
Matt Anderson.
Here.
Nick Amberger.
Here.
Jess Rich.
Here.
Don Hembry.
Here.
Jay Stubbs.
Here.
We have a quorum. Do I have a motion for adoption of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passes. The agenda is adopted. Approval of the minutes.
We have no
We have
We
no
have-
minutes.
for approval. I apologize.
All righty. Thank you very much. We'll start with item number 1, which is the south side of Reeve Street, west of the east terminus of Reeve Street. Staff has recommended the following, has recommended denial of the request.
Ms. Latham, I am admitting Ms. McMillan, who is the applicant, into the meeting. Ms. McMillan, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. McMillan?
Yes,
We will allow 4 speakers in favor of the application. You can speak for 5 minutes, so you have got the floor if you want to talk to us.
okay, I received your letter.
Okay,
And the reason why I want to move there because I was born there 83 years ago, and I still have the property in my name. And I don't make enough money to go to a nursing home with the Social Security, so I thought that I would sell my home, put a home there, and I would be rent-free.
okay.
Those were my reasons for going there.
All right. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for Ms. McMillan?
Ma'am?
I was asking if any of the commissioners had any questions for you, ma'am.
Okay.
Ms. McMillan, is there anything on the property right now?
No, sir, nothing. Clear.
You want to put a modular home on the property?
Yes, sir. They declined the trailer. So if I put a modular or either a house there, have a house moved there, would that be permissible?
Oh, it's
Ms.
a lot
Pattis?
different than having a trailer, which is what's on the agenda. So Margaret, do you have any updates there?
Yes. The application is for a mobile home. It comes in all assembled and is set up, unhitched and set up on the property. So the proposal is for a mobile home. You
Yes,
can
ma'am.
have, which requires planning approval. I believe the applicant is aware of the opposition, which I will read, the names that have been provided in opposition to the commission. However, she could have a modular home built there by right. We could have an existing stick-built home moved there by right, but a mobile home requires planning approval.
Margaret, could you give us the definition of a mobile home?
Mobile home is one that is basically it's built and moved in on wheels. It has wheels under it. It's attached to a vehicle, it's moved, if not all in one piece, in sections, and then is assembled. Modular, you may have 4 prefab walls come in, but everything is assembled on site.
May I add to that?
What?
I was going to add to that a mobile home is built to U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development standards, whereas a stick-built or modular home is built to the International Residential Code standards.
And what that ends up meaning is, while both of those will get a permit from the city of Mobile, make sure it meets setbacks, site coverage, and the like, a mobile home from the outside of the structure inward, that is all regulated by the state, and the city of Mobile conducts no inspections. Anything from the exterior of that box outward, which is connected to power, water, sewer, that is inspected. We have no jurisdiction from a code perspective on that structure itself.
So by right, she's allowed to put a modular home, but not a mobile home. But the application that she's requesting is for a mobile home,
That is correct.
which requires planning approval.
Correct.
So really, it sounds like, because this isn't even reality anymore, we probably just need to table.
Have her withdraw it. Ms. McMillan, do you understand the difference?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Okay, perfect. So Ms. Pettis, would it be better to have her withdraw her application to put a mobile home there as opposed to buying it, or is it not, it doesn't not make any difference?
I would suggest, Mr. Well, could you hit pound or star 6?
Would you repeat that?
I'm sorry, I was speaking to one of the commission members. I apologize. If she withdraws, if she could come back, and that way she doesn't have a denial on this spot.
So, Ms. McMillan,
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
if the application that is before the Planning Commission today is one to place a mobile home on that property. And it's
Yes,
our
ma'am.
understanding that you no longer wish to go forward with the application to place a mobile home there, that you instead may want to either have a modular home placed there or build a home there. So
Correct.
So if you would like to withdraw your application for the mobile home, then it's as if you never had that application before us, as opposed to us ruling on your application today, probably denying it, and you'll have a denial on the record relating to that property. So that's
Okay,
up to you. But if you would like to withdraw it, you need to let us know that.
yes, I would like to withdraw it then.
Thank you. Ms. Pappas, does she need to do anything else?
No, as a matter of fact, I believe Doug will agree since she's withdrawn, no action is required.
Thank you. And thank you, Ms. McMillan. We appreciate your coming before us today. Do you have any questions for us?
No, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Margaret, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Now that she's off, was there an application fee associated with that?
Yes, there was, and then notice was given out as well. So all of the actions were taken as far as processing the application.
Is it proper for me to ask what that application fee is?
Yes, it's public record. It's $150 plus the postage.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Since she withdrew the application, is there anyone, I know we received the letters in opposition, but is there anything we need to do to address the ones, anybody here to speak in opposition to it?
There was no one here to speak in opposition. However, if the commission will indulge me, I think just in order to stay in compliance with the mandates for remote meetings, I probably need to read into record the names of those that did submit correspondence in opposition. But again, none of them had asked to attend the meeting. So those in opposition were Diane Murphy, Agnes Scott, Beverly Cheeseborough, Katabra Dixon, Diane Murphy again, Herman Thomas for the Tolmanville Crichton Development Corporation, Joyce Winburn, Mary Poe, and then we had 2 comments submitted via the web portal, again in opposition, from Eugene Phillips and Aubrey Cromwell.
Additionally, Ms. Pappas, I have Agnes Scott, you called her already. Thank you.
I have a question of Margaret. Were those email messages that you got, is it protocol to let them know that the application was withdrawn so they don't have to try to follow up on what the outcome was?
We typically do not respond. However, by tomorrow morning on our website, we post the results agenda, which shows the actions on every application.
And they're aware to look there? I mean, they're,
yes.
Okay, thank you.
That directs them to our website.
Okay, thank you.
All right. You ready to move to number 2? Which is 7220 L&N Circle. That has planning approval request to allow a mobile home as a residence in an R1 single family district. The staff has recommended approval. Ms. Pappas, did we have the applicant?
I've admitted Ms. Payne. Can you hear us? Ms. Payne? She's in the meeting, but
He has no audio, it appears.
Um, Bert, to your knowledge, I believe you communicated with her. Did she have any concerns about the staff recommendation?
She had not stated any concerns.
Ms. Chairman, we received no correspondence in opposition to this application and no calls on this.
Okay,
Now, again, staff recommended approval. This application, in contrast to the previous one, this area was annexed into the city in the past few years. There was a mobile home on the site. It has been removed, and it was removed more than 2 years ago, so it lost its non-conforming status. They are now proposing to place a new mobile home on the site. This area does have mobile homes in the area, unlike the other area, which was primarily consisting of stick-built homes.
But it lost its non-conforming use status because it didn't have a trailer on it for a couple of years?
Correct. Once a non-conforming use has ceased for 2 years or more, that status is lost. And in terms of mobile homes, when I say in the immediate area, there are 4 right here.
so can we proceed without hearing from the applicant since she is present, but we're not able to hear her? Or do we need to roll her to the end of the agenda and try to get her audio connected?
We can do either. If you recall, when we first went to Zoom, if no one was opposed to the application and the applicant did not have any concerns with the recommendation, staff would present and the commission could move forward or hold
Okay.
over as they deemed appropriate.
Okay,
If the commission's more comfortable waiting until the December 3rd meeting, when she can be hooked up to audio, we can do that as well.
do any of the commissioners have any questions about this or any comments? Or
Well,
which may-
I do have one comment. You know, typically, I'm not for more trailers in the city just because of the hurricane likelihood in our area, you know, and the fact that over time we shouldn't be providing more non-conforming use extensions. You know, we want to continue development out. I know this is the very periphery of the city, but I'm not gonna vote against this because you got one right next door. But I'm just saying I think that we probably need to have a habit of you know, if the non-conforming use lapses, then it's probably time for the area to move on. There's a reason there wasn't one put there immediately. But I get, you know, I get that this neighborhood literally has one that's a stone's throw away. So I'm just throwing that out there. Now, one question I have is, how long does this planning approval last? I mean, are we going to be able to have trailers there until the end of time now?
Planning approval is there until it's modified, you know, until there's a future application.
And just to let you know, I called Ms. Payne and she is accessing the meeting from the library and cannot turn the sound on there. So I'm sending her the telephone numbers again so that
Okay.
she can call in that way.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Halpin.
The main thing is to make sure we get, you know, that she is okay, you know, with the recommendations. Did Did you ask her that, Bert? Did she confirm?
No, but I will call her right back and ask her that question.
Yeah, just verify that. If she is, then I think we're good to go with it.
Margaret, this is kind of a parallel conversation that I have. I mean, I don't know if we've ever looked at, and I know it's not really for this commission to take up, but the cost differential between a mobile home and a modular home. Because it's kind of like the difference between a regular stick-built house and a fortified built house. You know, the fortified built houses are, you know, more hurricane-proof. They cost more, but I don't know if there's such a disparaging difference on there. I mean, I know that doesn't really come into play, but certainly for the property owner, it's a much better structure for them to be in than a mobile home.
You know, mobile homes are affordable homes, and that doesn't necessarily make them quote cheap. They're affordable homes. And while the city does not inspect them, they still have a standard to which they have to be constructed. You know, the Florida, for a while, the Florida standard for mobile home construction exceeded some local building codes. I think while in general, the commission should not necessarily look at the numbers aspect of it in terms of money, I think maybe some information to the commission regarding the standard to which they have to be constructed, such as wind speeds and
Sure.
things of that nature. And we can get that for the commission.
I'm just assuming, I mean, as you mentioned, the different codes. You know, if somebody were to go buy a used one and it was built in 1980 and they're bringing it out there, do we have any? Does our process regulate any of that? Do we have a certain minimum standard that they have to meet?
The state requires that the structure be recertified through them. Part of our permitting process with the city of Mobile, when you bring a mobile home or a modular structure into the city, those are regulated by the state. The state provides them with plans that the state sealed, that they have been reviewed and approved by their board. We require a copy of those. Quite honestly, you could have an older mobile home moved around, but in order to get your permit, it has to be recertified by the state, and we require those documents.
Okay, that's good and very good to know. Thank you.
I have a question, Margaret.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Do we require any kind of tie down of the mobile home? Because that always seems to be the issue, that they kind of flip over when there's high winds. So is there anything that the city can do to ensure that it's tied somehow or anchored?
The foundation for the mobile home is again set by the state. However, the only time the city becomes involved is if it is in a flood zone, because the state does not regulate flood zones. So if you're in a flood zone, the state allows us to review those, because in that situation, you're not looking just at wind forces, you're looking at water forces.
Well, this probably isn't a flood zone. I don't think it is.
I just wanted to make that.
But if it's planning approval, can the commission put additional things within the planning approval? Is that something that would be too much for the city to inspect?
Well, I would say this, the state has complete and total authority on that structure. And because of jurisdictional issues, we cannot go inside the structure. The same holds true with the foundation, except in flood zones.
The state has fairly stringent requirements for mobile homes as far as tie downs, every 2 or 3 feet. They require a red clay pad under it so that water doesn't stand under the mobile home. And there's a lot of requirements. The state requirements are already fairly stringent. So I would not be too concerned about increasing those requirements.
If someone in this area that already has a trailer, if they came to the city and wanted to buy a new trailer, or they don't have to come back to the city, they would just work with the state. Because what Matt was saying about, we have a zoning code for single family residential, and we don't normally allow a modular, a manufactured type of mobile home rather. And so if we are ever going to upgrade an area, the whole idea is if it goes vacant for 2 years, then it just absorbs the R1, and that would be a manufactured home or a assembled home on site as a possibility, but not this mobile home type thing with their trailer. Does this going to have its trailer and everything? Does it stay on the wheel? See, I just, to me, it's, if you're looking at the rest of the properties, then people will be swapping them out, and it will always, maybe it should be a trailer park area that gets designated as such. And then they, it just continues. But I thought the idea was the city wasn't going to allow it because we still have to send the fire department, yet there's no way of knowing, what's inside as far as safety issues.
It's not that the city, quote, will not allow it. It's that for it to be used as a home, it requires planning approval. And, it's not a prohibited use. The applicant, Ms. Payne, has called in. I was going to go ahead and let her in.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Ms. Payne, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Payne, you have an application before us today
Yes.
relating to putting a trailer on this property. Do you have any comments you would like to make about that?
No, I was just trying to put a trailer back on the lot because me and my chair had lost everything, so I was just saving up my money to put a trailer back on the lot.
And you used to have a trailer there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then were you able to see what the city had recommended on your application?
No, ma'am.
There are no conditions, Lib, it's just recommended for approval.
Okay. So the city had recommended that we approve your application. I just wanted to make sure you were okay with that. And that
Yes,
you had
ma'am.
had the opportunity to see that.
Yes,
Do you have any comments you'd like to make, Ms. Payne?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for calling in. Any commissioners, do any of you have any questions for Ms. Payne? Ms. Payne, it doesn't look like anyone has any questions. Ms. Pappas, does anybody from the city have anything they need to say or ask?
No, ma'am. Like I said, we received no correspondence or phone calls in opposition.
All right. Thank you so much. Ms. Payne, thank you for calling in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Pappas, is she out of the meeting?
She hung up.
Okay, perfect. Let's take it up.
Make a motion to approve based on staff recommendations, findings of facts. 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
That motion passes. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is 5464 Norden Drive South. It's a subdivision and sidewalk waiver, I believe. The staff has recommended tentative approval on the subdivision, and they have recommended denial of the application to waive the sidewalk. The application to waive the sidewalk. Or Ms. Pappas, or is the applicant present?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
this is Doug Chapman from Sawgrass.
All right, welcome to our meeting.
Thank you.
Would you state your address, please, for our record?
Yes, it's Sawgrass Consulting, and the address is 30673 Sergeant E.I. Boots Drive, Thomas Drive in Spanish Fort.
Thank you. Do you have any comments you'd like to make?
I received some comments from Bert Hoffman, and some of them seem to, I received some comments that addressed a zoning change and some mobile homes, but this is zoned, we're not looking for a zone change or anything other than single family residential. That's.
Yes, sir. Those comments had to do with another application that was before us today.
Oh, okay.
Have you had a change? Are you in agreement with the staff recommendations on the subdivision?
Yes, ma'am. I've read through those. We have no problem with addressing those.
All right. Have you read the recommendation on the sidewalk waiver as well?
Yes, I have. Our only, justification there was there are no sidewalks in the existing neighborhood. If we built that sidewalk, then we wouldn't be tying into any adjacent sidewalk, and it's a very small neighborhood, so it'd be, a very short run of sidewalk from end to end, and I don't really see the value in it. But if we were made to do the sidewalks, we would, from a grade standpoint and from a issue standpoint, would prefer just to do it on the side that is adjacent to the lots.
What do you mean, adjacent? You mean the common area side?
Not in that common area. That is a very wet area, and we have some grade issues as far as that goes. But within the area that's adjacent to the lots that we show. So.
Got it.
For the commission, the sidewalks are typically constructed by the home builder whenever they build the individual homes. They don't come in there and build all the long linear piece of the sidewalk. So it's typically done, on a per each when the houses are built. Oftentimes the city, in works with the city council, fills in spots, goes back in and does retrofits here or there. But just I want everybody to understand, in general, the sidewalks are not built by the developer. They are built by the individual property owner or home builder.
Ms. Latham, if I may, I do need to bring to the commission's attention, we did receive comments from Rick Smith as well as Gerard G. and Jean P. Weinecker, who were in opposition to granting the sidewalk waivers.
Okay. Thank you. Any commissioners have any other questions or comments?
Just for clarification, please, on the sidewalks, the placement, looking at the site plan, you've got road frontage on Lusanne, on West Norton, and then South Norton Drive. So we're talking about having a sidewalk alongside all three of these roads at the front of the lots, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that.
Right. I mean, I think can we do a waiver such that the common area would not have it. I mean, taking into consideration what he was saying, it seems pretty rational to me. But I mean, I'm not for putting no sidewalks in front of all these lots just because the neighbors don't have it. I mean, that's just, this isn't like a lot of the ones we do waive where it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, and we're willing to construct that along those lots. If there was some way we just could avoid doing it in the common area, that's not a problem to the client to build it from lot 1 to lot 13 along that side of the road. Or to at least show it on the construction plans and have that updated, because Nick's right, the home builder is responsible for doing that, but we would show that on our revised construction plans.
I think it's really important because I'm familiar with this subdivision, and the topography does have some challenges. So I think it will be very important, for Sawgrass to look at that to make sure that they are constructible, because it might be that earthwork has to be done within the lot itself, to accommodate the location of the sidewalks.
Yeah, especially those lots in the center, 3 through 8 will definitely require some fill to build up that sidewalk area.
Any other question? I'm sorry.
No. I mean, the sidewalk waiver is before the commission for this entire development. The commission, of course, can, if they so choose, I believe, waive construction along the common area frontage only. However, if there is a concern that individual lots may, for physical topographic reasons, be unable to construct a sidewalk in front of that lot, would it be better to hold over the application so that the engineer can submit more detailed information?
We've laid in, sidewalk in our initial. It's correct that it will require some fill, but it's not to the point where it's not constructible. We could definitely make those lots work with bringing in some material to build up the sidewalk and bringing in material to make the rest of the lot work with a house build as well. I don't think it's an issue.
Doug, isn't this subdivision's already physically built? Is it not?
The road's been built, yes.
Okay.
All the drainage structures are in, the road's been built. The interior lots have not been filled or graded or anything though. It was just the road.
Okay. Yeah, y'all are basically trying to pick it up. I know it took on some challenges. Y'all are trying to get it to the finish line for whom I guess the bank now owns the subdivision.
Correct.
This may be a detail that I missed, but if we're looking back at the common area, would that also include lots 14, and 15 of the sidewalk waiver being allowed? So it would only be on lots 1 through 13. Just don't want anybody to get hung up that there's going to be this sidewalk to nowhere over there in a common area in front of 2 homes.
The commission can include 14 and 15 in the waiver.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you got a sidewalk on one side of the street, that's the walkability component that I would be worried about. I mean, lot 14 and 15, I don't really feel strongly about it either way.
I would just say there's a number of places right now, the city's doing, in magnitude of a couple $1 million a year worth of sidewalk repairs or ADA improvements. And in some instances, we do fill-in sections. So, this wouldn't be uncommon, that we filled in those sections, to go ahead and get it on up to the rest of the street, or at some point, maybe even take on an entire neighborhood. So I would think it would be appropriate to still require sidewalks for those two lots that were kind of interior.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Any further questions from commissioners? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, we'll move into the hearing phase of this. Do y'all want to separate these out? Take the subdivision first?
Yes, ma'am.
Please.
Let's start with that.
I would move to approve the subdivision subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
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 All opposed? That motion passes. We will now move to the sidewalk waiver part.
So for clarification, we need to deny the sidewalk waiver request and exclude out the common area. Is that the wording that we need to be using?
Or approve it only for the common area.
Yeah.
Approve the waiver request for, okay.
Ms. Pappas, would you prefer us to deny the waiver except for the common area? Would that work better since that's?
It'd be easier, approve the waiver along the common area frontage only.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Does anyone need clarification on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. We'll now move to number 4, 1590 and 1574 St. Stephen's Road and 1563 Basil Street. Subdivision, which has been recommended for tentative approval, and a rezoning, which has been recommended for approval as well. Let's take these in separate parts. Is the applicant present or on the line? Stevens Road.
Yes.
and Basil Street. Subdivision, which has been recommended for tentative approval.
Okay,
A
whoever's
rezoning,
doing this, you
which has
need to pause. Okay. Landis, I've muted you. You need to pause the live stream. Okay, and Ward Henniker, you're giving a lot of feedback.
All right, one moment.
Thank
Add a bebop tune back in the background.
I'm getting some beeping. I don't know where the beeping is coming from. If I need to call in, I can call in.
This is the theme music for the planning commission.
I was showing my age. I was thinking it sounded like Pac-Man.
I was too.
Can y'all still hear me?
We can.
Okay, I don't know. I muted my speaker, so I guess it's coming out of something else.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Mr. Henry, could you state your name and address for our record, please?
Yes, my name is Ward Henniker. Last name is spelled Henneker. I'm with Alabama Power Company. The address is 600 North 18th Street, Birmingham, Alabama, 35203. Then again, I don't know when I'll be returning to that actual physical location for work, but we're doing it from home these days.
Well, I think everybody is.
Yes.
Or at least a lot of people are. Have you had a chance to review the recommendations?
I have.
And are you in agreement with them?
Yeah, we're perfectly fine with them. I've got some things to say if y'all want me to. I know that both were recommended. None of the items listed were in any way a showstopper or anything like that. I think some of our folks will have eventual questions down the road, just like that can be done offline, about making sure that the plat is the way that y'all will want it and things of that nature. But otherwise, it's we're good with it.
Any questions or comments from commissioners? Ms. Pappas, do any of the staff have any questions or comments?
No, ma'am. Everyone that's been admitted into the meeting is with the applicant. We received no correspondence in opposition.
Thank you. Well, if we don't have any questions, then Mr. Henniker, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. I'll scrap my little speaking and that's always fine with me.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right. We'll go into the public phase of that. I mean, into the hearing phase of this. Any questions or comments from anybody before I call for a motion?
We'll take each item separately.
Yes, please. Go for the subdivision application first.
Move to approve based on staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion for the subdivision passes. Let's move to the rezoning request.
Move to approve based on staff recommendations and findings of facts 1 and 2.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that item? Or any questions or comments? All right, properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion for the rezoning passes as well. Thank you. Ms. Pappas, do we have any further business?
No, ma'am, we do not, although our staff does wish the entire commission a very safe and enjoyable Thanksgiving holiday, although I think it's going to be a little different for all of us.
Thank you. And we, of course, reciprocate that wish to all of y'all and hope you have a nice holiday.
All righty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.